I think Titania can be cast by a woman or a man.
I think Titania should be played by a man.
I think Titania should be played by a woman. Man.
I think Titania should be played by a male actor playing a female character, or at least that's what I thought. Now I'm convinced that Titania should be a strong female character.
I think Titania should be played by a woman who is playing a man who's playing a woman.
I want Titania to be played by a girl.
By a woman.
Played by a man.
Could be played by either a guy or a girl.
I think Titania should be played by either gender.
I think Titania should be played by a woman because Titania is a fundamentally powerful female role and she's not overly feminine. Not to say that would be a bad thing, but it shows that a woman can have a different personality than what is a stereotype. Also, when Titania is said to be doting on her changeling boy and giving him flowers, I picture that she could be possibly like a Hollywood mom and just handing her child off to a nanny to be taken care of and giving him all of these things and just keeping the child away from its father because of just a dispute between the parents, just to have the father in more pain, I guess. And at the end, when she hands the changeling boy over to Oberon, it's just finally at the end, it's like, whatever, just take the child. I've let this play out long enough.
Have Titania be a male character who's playing a woman because of the drag queen aspect and the LGBT community aspect. I feel that it's much stronger to convey fluidity rather than the boxes of what's expected of LGBT community as well as what's expected of a straight normative community. If the character is a woman and the actor is a woman and she's married to Oberon, who is male, then I want to see a fluidity within her fairies and with like the mechanicals and like who she's interacting with, this idea of homosexuality within that relationship with that character. Fairies are her like lesbian lovers within her happy relationship with Oberon, almost like it's an open relationship. And I want to talk about like the complexities of that rather than just restrict her to she's married to a man and she's straight.
Depending on the audition process, if it's a female, then she needs to be able to be strong and confident. And if it's a man, he needs to be able to play a strong and confident female without being dainty.
I think it doesn't matter as long as she is, the camera, as long as she is really powerful and really strong. And I think it would be easier for a woman to play that because when a guy tries to be a woman, he will naturally turn to stereotypes and habits that might not necessarily be strong.
I think Titania should be played by either a man or a woman, depending on the choice we make in casting Helena. Because for me, Titania is the strongest female character within the play. I would lean towards having her as a female, but having her as a male playing a female provides some opportunities as well.
I want Titania to be played by a girl because then we can play it so that she doesn't actually want the kid and she doesn't have to be maternal, which I really like that idea, and for Oberon to actually be the one to take care of the kid. I think that's a really interesting thing to play with because women are expected to be maternal, and because it's such a powerful role for a woman, I really want her to be played as such.
The reason I want her to be played by a man is because I really think that the forest should be different from Athens. And I feel that having that difference of characters being changed in that way would really help sell that idea, especially because if we do decide to cross-cast, I think it would be very interesting to change the characters from forest to Athens and Athens to forest, because they do cross back and forth. So it just adds a layer and shows how opposite these two worlds are. Right. And that would be my main reason for switching them. Whether or not Titania would be in full drag is still not 100% sold for me. Like we were discussing about the whole Lafayette character, I feel that just having female qualities as a man could help that.
Personally don't have preference because I think what we've discussed works either way.
I think Titania should be played by a woman who is playing a man who's playing a woman, only because it seems to be a good balanced idea for what we want to go with the idea of drag, and it doesn't take away the role from a female actress. So, yeah, that's my reason.
I think it's more interesting to empower women that behave like women and find female power that is different from male power but equally as important and significant in the world. I think that it's taking steps back for women to give women power by having a woman behave like a man. And I think that it's not interesting anymore to say that men and women are the same, because men and women are different and men and women are equal, if you know what I mean. So that's what I think about that, but I think I would be excited too if Titania was a drag queen, because it does something different, which is that it empowers men to behave like women or to experiment with like being more feminine or gay or all these things, and we're opening doors in that way, which is cool. But I think it's putting a box around things as well, or maybe, I don't know,
I think Helena should be played by a man. Be a guy. Yeah. Dude.
I think Helena should be played by a male actor.
I think Helena should be played by a man.
I think a man should be cast in that role.
Played by a guy.
And Helena should be played by a woman.
Helena should be played by a woman.
I think Helena should be played by a woman.
Be played by a girl.
I think Helena should be played by a girl, but possibly being a man.
I think Helena should be played by a woman because fundamentally the role is another powerful female role. She goes after what she wants. But I think in order to go with our goal of looking at different queer relationships, Helena and Demetrius should be played by women, and Lysander and Hermia should be played by men. Because it still goes with our initial idea of having Hermia and Demetrius being paired up by society because they are a heterosexual couple. And it really would go with, in one scene, Demetrius saying, "I do not nor I cannot love you," and this being another homosexual relationship. But also with Hermia and Lysander, Hermia being a very, very feminine character, having that played by a man would be just a different perspective on how people can act, how personalities can be portrayed. So that's my perspective on who should play what.
There was an authenticity that we saw in our experimentation that came from knowing that the actor who was playing her was male, but was portraying a femininity, and there was a sympathetic aspect as an audience member that you could attach to.
I think Helena should be played by a man and Helena's character should be male. And I think that because if we're exploring the fluidity of gender and the idea that human beings are born with characteristics that we associate with male and female, and anybody, despite your genitals, can behave in any way, I think that sexuality, I think we should look at that as well. And I think that we should look at the openness of sexuality in every person, just like in gender. I think that, just to relate it back to Titania, being a woman, and being powerful as a woman and using her female qualities to gain power in her own way, I think that it's more powerful to see a man being a male Helena and saying all those lines about like female friendship and being soft and being sweet in an authentic and real way, and showing how a man is caring and how a man is soft and how a man is maternal, that is not feminine but equally as loving. And I think that if we expose that, it will empower men in the audience to want to behave like that or try it in their lives, as opposed to men that are like, well, I don't want to put on a dress, so does that mean that I'm not feminine too? You know, like, I think it's a lot more authentic and it could be a lot more powerful. But also I think we should explore, yes, the idea that a man is in love with a man, and it's society that keeps Demetrius from wanting Helena. And Helena is sort of like the misunderstood underdog, because he is who he is despite his society. Like, he is himself despite his society. And his struggles of being different are what will make us root for Helena in a way that I don't think comes from Helena being a woman. Helena being a woman makes her silly sometimes and makes her like, can be degrading, as opposed to sort of like throwing off the chains of society and changing the people around him by challenging the world around him, which I think Titania can also do with Oberon. And I think that that struggle that we see throughout the play is so much more powerful and real, and will make us have so much more connection to the characters than just, oh, cool, like the world can be sexually crazy and things are all over the place. I think if we connect to the character's struggle and we really show how difficult it is to be yourself in a society that tells you to be a certain way, if we show that struggle and then we show the beauty in that struggle, in that you can become more yourself as that person, but you can also empower the people around you and you can change.
It makes so much sense for the character and for the play and what it does to the other lovers. It's such a beautiful concept. If Helena is a male character, played by a male man. It adds to the complexity of not only her own lines, because the lines like "use me as your spaniel" and her not being comfortable with who she is could be because she has a very masculine, she would be very masculine when maybe she doesn't want to be. He would want to be more feminine so that men would like him. And it also changes up the character of Demetrius, because now he is questioning his own sexuality, and it really adds to like the lines, "I cannot love you," as opposed to Demetrius being this semi-abusive character. He then becomes a character who's questioning his own sexuality.
I think Helena should be played by a girl, but I also think Demetrius should be played by a girl as well, being a boy. It would add a great interaction between them, because we could make Demetrius pass, and you were wondering why Helena is going after a female character, but that also explains her interactions with Hermia and her betrayal on their relationship. But
Helena should be played by a woman, because it is such a powerful role, and I really think that particularly with like the spaniel speech, it can be played more not as demeaning or like, I guess in the traditional sense, but can be played more as she's challenging him, as she is forcing herself to be on his level, with however the actor like played it. But I really think that that's an example of where it really could be more of she's challenging him than she's like playing it as sexual or demeaning. So that's kind of what I think.
My main reason for that is just because she is such a prominent role within the play. I would like to see a woman maintain that, and through performance we can address some of the issues that we've been trying to address by having her not be a woman. So I really do feel Helena should remain as a woman.
But I do think that it should be a guy, because then it can show that a guy can be insecure and can be best friends with a girl, as Hannah was saying before. And that can be a friendship, like just a really strong friendship and not romantic. And then that brings in the whole thing with Lysander and Demetrius, and then if we have a gay relationship, I'd love for Lysander to be male as well. And then Demetrius to be female, because then it can be that they're also fighting for their love when that's not the right way in society's view.
This is because she is such a big female character. And for me, I feel like there'd just be so much to change. Whether or not she's a man pretending to be a girl or just a man being a man, it gets really confusing with the pronouns and just everything like that. Also, I feel that having the other three lovers being male adds another dimension. I would more want to focus on Hermia, changing Hermia's character, rather than Helena. So,
For the role of Helena, I think a man should be cast in that role. It would just add a whole new level to the dynamic of the four lovers, and it